All right, yo. So this is how you can kind of do this infinity mind type of mindset, but it depends on how far you want to take it and what you want to do with it and what's embedded in you and things like that. So you got to take a look at how you externalize, how you go about your circumstances, what's your objectivity looking like as far as how you go about your reality, and you got to see what your internalizing systems are like. Because if you catch an emotion, if you catch a feeling, if you catch a vision, if you don't work towards getting out of someone else's forms of logic and practicality, that's just someone else's intellectual property of what we all have the ability to create with our mind. With us basically able to carry away with our mind and objectifying that, things like that. So that's how you look at yin is like internal chaos, feminine pillar, subjectivity, things like that. And then externally, it's the white pillar in those Masonic traditions and shit like that. A white pillar for externalizing your forms of subjectivity. So it's always this 1 2 1 2 1 2 system. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, are we the 1 2 system, or are we observing that? And then we're like, oh, okay, shit, hold on, A B C 1 2 3. It's just all sigils about how a spirit moves and things like that. It's the intellectual property of what's already going on astronomically. Left brain objectivity form of observing, and right brain astrology forms of observing. And it's not even like planets, you could say. It's like a wave. It just be a lot of satellites and shit like that. If you look up how many satellites there's, I think there's like, man, probably more than 15,000 or some shit like that. So yeah, and you can easily create an optical illusion just based on us looking at Earth down here and looking at a rainbow. Because if that phenomenon exists in nature, that must mean we also have the ability to replicate it externally and things like that. When a rainbow gets together, it creates fucking darkness and shit like that. Start absorbing everything. It becomes a black hole. And that's like black hole physics. That's like being able to absorb all the colors. That's like you being a central force of gravity. Who knows where a black hole would take you? That'd be pretty interesting. But I'm thinking about it from more of the left brain NASA perspective and shit like that. Because it's not like you can probably go up there with this vehicle. You're in this body. You gotta create your next vehicle, which is really just your mind body, which is just your Merkaba basically. And just like down here in the third dimension, how you guys put on nice rims on y'all cars. You know what I'm saying? Invest in your vehicles, in your ordinances, in your systems, or whatever it is that you like. It might be music, it might be drawing, it might be whatever it is that you do to, externalize your forms of subjectivity and shit like that. And everyone has a different form of subjectivity and objectivity. And so, real shit, everyone has a different form of objectivity and subjectivity. So everything about good and evil is just relative from your own position in time, in space and time. Because you may be born in Saudi Arabia, you may develop a whole different belief system as far as your religion, your cultural background. What do you believe? You could see how somebody from the West would look at the Eastern person, and how someone from the Eastern country will look at the Western person. Because it's just like already a setup in a way, right? So you gotta understand not to get lost in these third dimensional proportions, forms of objectivities, things that they dangle in front of you with a carrot for you to get lost in those, because they really don't really matter none. It's like a cosmic race. In the same way, science explains how people the sperm race out of the river of the great life, the river of the great living. You know what I'm saying? You was the strongest cell, and you was the strongest observer in that area to occupy that body. Because you exist on so many different levels, and you have so many different bodies. Because you almost be like a cloud. It's not even about the cloud; it's about the temperament and the modality that you move in. Because you're like just creating shit with the help of you're co-creating shit with other groups of spirits and shit like that. So all of y'all in our cells, in your mind, as far as groups of thoughts, masculine and feminine, left brain, right brain, objectivity, subjectivity, Kethu and Netu, or whatever they want to call it, all just different forms of like south noding and north noding, or just the mathematical formula of how you even create the idea of a little map or some shit like that, or the map and the compass or some shit like that. I forgot what to call it, magnet or whatever. But yeah, that's based on the embodiment and understanding directional mathematics and shit like that. Understanding that also plays out internally as well. So when you go down in the esoteric realm, it's the same shit that's going down in life. You might have gotten punched by somebody and you got knocked out. So you got knocked out, real shit. man's was gone. And that was pretty much it for that, man. And shit like that. But yeah, real shit. It's kind of hot outside right now. It's gonna get outside some sunlight. Make sure you take care of yourselves, because you know the devil's coming with all his strength. So it's like you gotta come with all your strength as well. And you got ordinances and then departments that empower that energy to get you lost in to their full backing and understanding what's gonna happen to you, as far as you setting yourself several steps behind, as far as them being generationally steps ahead, as far as them being understanding how to reincarnate back into the same system, so they can always like find themselves, they can always find each other and shit like that, and never fail. Real shit, because like you create like a coordinate, like an esoteric coordinate for spirits to come to you, thoughts, which is basically thoughts and feelings. That's how you create a wheel that can move through time, depending on whatever form of wheel that you want to create. Because in science they show you that in the form of atoms and particles and shit like that, but it's really just or DNA or whatever, but it's really just a description of a movement that we all do, basically, because we all got a spine, we all got that energy going up and that energy going down and shit like that. So everything we do is just a form of breath, and when you learn how to breathe properly, you can live your life better, or just improve it, or just create a better self-image and things like that, because you understand the deeper aspects of life, and you're not lost in those forms that the government created for you. Here, feel victimized. Here, feel worried. Here, don't do this. All types of shit, and it'd be like generational curses too. But the world could be healed, but it's like it gets deep. So real shit. But anyways, real shit. Love y'all.